Chapter 4: Audience Engagement. There are many different kinds of presentations and reasons for presenting, but almost always the main purpose is to put an idea in front of other people to ask for their feedback. Whether you are the presenter or the audience member, you have an important role here. It is natural to be a little nervous about audience questions, since you cannot completely prepare for them. But on the other hand, unexpected questions from the audience are a vital way of gathering ideas for improving your reasoning and presentation. The discussion after your presentation is where this feedback will happen. So it is important to think about how to approach it, both as presenter and as audience. When you have finished your presentation, put the audience at ease to ask questions. Let them know that you are interested in their questions or opinions.
Thank you for your attention. I'm looking forward to your comments and questions, and I'll respond as best I can.
Before answering the question, thank the person who asked it.
Thanks for your question. Yes, I agree that there are other arguments for using nuclear energy.
We often don't understand the question. This is normal. Don't be afraid to ask that the question be repeated or paraphrased.
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. Could you rephrase it?
It often helps to show the relevant slides again.
Okay, let me show you the slide again. I think this is the part of my talk you are asking about. As you can see in this graph,
After responding, confirm that you have answered the question.
does that answer your question?
Sometimes, you will not know how to answer the question immediately. This is natural, and there are various reasons for it. Do not panic. Here are some situations where the speaker doesn't have an answer. Sometimes the question is outside the area of your talk, but relevant, and you are interested in finding out the answer yourself, so mention this.
My present study only focused on the wind speed and energy output of the turbines and not actually on turbulence. But in fact, this is the next topic of my investigation. So hopefully I'll be able to answer your question sometime soon.
A question might reveal a potential problem with your method or reasoning. This is an ideal question, which helps your research the most. It is okay not to have an answer on the spot.
To be honest, in our planning for the experiment, we didn't consider the texture of the obstacles. But I can see why that could make a difference. I'm glad you pointed that out. It's actually an interesting question. I'll make sure we look at that.
Sometimes the question is outside the area of your talk, and also you do not think it is relevant. Explain this to the questioner.
Solar energy is definitely an important thing to consider. However, our research has been focused on wind energy and trying to increase its cost efficiency. I'm not sure of the latest research on solar energy.
If you are in the audience, remember that the presenter is very interested in your feedback. It can be very helpful to write down brief notes while you are listening to a presentation. You can even write down possible questions that you might want to ask. Note down slide titles or slide numbers, if that will be useful to let the speaker know which part of their talk you are asking about. There are many kinds of questions you can ask in the Q&A session. If you did not understand something the speaker said, you are probably not the only one. And as a speaker, it is helpful to know which parts of your presentation are difficult to understand. Ask the speaker to explain further something that they said.
I'm not sure I understood you on one point. I was a bit confused about your explanation of the fallacy.
The speaker probably had to leave out a lot of information to fit the presentation within the time allotted. Ask the speaker to fill in one of these gaps.
I wanted to ask If we decide not to use nuclear power anymore, how much does it cost to decommission a nuclear power plant?
You may think that the speaker was wrong about some matter of fact or logic. It is always okay to challenge the speaker if you think this. The main purpose of their presentation is to gather feedback on precisely this point. In this case, it is important to be polite and respectful. Remember that it might be you who has made the error.
I'm not sure I agree with you, but thank you for that answer.
Often, you might ask a question but do not understand the answer. This is very common. Do not be afraid to tell the speaker that you didn't understand their answer. It might help to rephrase the question in case the misunderstanding came from there.
I don't quite understand your answer. If it can't be decided, how are you able to say that it's too risky?
There will often be a moderator to help the question and answer period run smoothly. If you are the moderator, here are some things to consider. The moderator's role is to set things so that everyone can understand what will be happening. For example, introduce the speaker and topic, and explain that there will be time for discussion at the end.
Thank you everyone for coming. And thanks very much to our speaker, Taro Yamada, who is going to talk to us about the issue of nuclear energy.
Thank the speaker for their talk and invite questions. You might have to start the Q&A session yourself if the audience is taking time to think of questions.
Thank you for that interesting talk. If anyone has a question or a comment for our speaker, please raise your hand.
Keep an eye out for misunderstandings, and if you can, help the speaker and questioner to understand one another.
I think the point of the question is that even if you're right, we might have to choose between nuclear and fossil fuels, at least for the next 10 years, while we build wind and solar plants. Is that right?
Time is valuable. If the session is expected to finish at a certain time, it is your job to make sure it does. Thank the speaker for their talk and the audience for their participation and attention.
It looks as though we're out of time. Thanks very much, everyone, for your great questions. And I'm sure you'll all join me in thanking our speaker for an interesting talk and invigorating discussion. Thank you very much.